Right, without further ado, let's show you how you can create your own improvised stovetop hot smoker. This great little stovetop smoker is nothing more complicated than two roasting trays. You can see they've got handles on both sides and a lip. We'll talk about that in a bit. They're identical and they sit one on top of the other. You can see in this one on the left here has got lots of burn marks. That's the one I use as the base all the time. I just use it all the time for the base. Now, inside that we're going to put some wood chips. There they go. We're using birch and we're using fine chips, about 2 tablespoons, and we put them directly over where the heat's going to go. If you need to buy any of these wood chips, you can get them from our website, coldsmoking.co.uk. On top of that, we put a little foil separator, and this is really just to stop any flare-ups. On top of that, we put a rack. Now, this rack is a standard cake rack, and all I've done to it is I've just cut it down a little bit. It's really difficult to try and find a rack that fits into one of these small roasting trays. If you're using a larger roasting tray, some of them come with a little trivet anyway, so you can use that. But in this instance, I had to modify it by cutting it down using some pliers. Now, these roasting tray lids have got a little lip on the edge, and this is really important because we're going to use these lips to actually secure the lid to the base, and these are the bulldog clips we're going to use to do that, and we just clip these on the side and they hold it together. I'll show you how we do that in a second. But before we can close it up, we need to stick the salmon in here, and you can see the salmon here just come straight out the fridge. It's been brining in 100 grams of salt dissolved into a litre of cold water for 15 minutes. And these just come straight out of the brine. No need to rinse under a cold running tap. Because it's quite a weak brine, we can get away with that. And we just sit them next to each other onto the rack and leave a small gap between them so that the smoke and the heat can get through and do its job, and they're ready to close up. Now, closing it up is a simple process of just sticking the lid on and securing it with those bulldog clips, and they go around the edge. And these are really important. If you just leave this loose, some of the heat and the smoke can escape. We don't want that. We want to keep it as tightly closed as possible. And of course, that's a safety issue too. We don't want the lid flying off if someone accidentally knocks the stove that they're on. So that's ready to go. We'll take this outside and pop it on the heat. We're ready to hot smoke. Okay, we're ready to come out onto the stove, and we adjust the gas to a medium heat. We'll take off the hot smoker just to check that we have a decent flame. Sometimes if it's a bit windy, you can protect the sides of the stove to stop the flame and the heat being blown away. So we're setting it to a medium heat, and we're going to leave it for about 25 minutes. If it's a particularly windy or cold day, you can extend that time by about 5 minutes. Equally, if it's a very warm day, then you can actually cut the time down. And you can see the smoke coming out from the sides of the smoker. If we didn't have those bulldog clips in place holding it really tightly, then that smoke would all escape. And we really want to cook in the presence of smoke here, so that's exactly what we're doing. Okay, so this is now ready. It's been going for 20 minutes. We're just taking off the bulldog clips so that we can reveal the salmon. We're going to allow this to just chill down a bit, but you can see the lovely colour on that salmon. That's really got a beautiful colour, and believe me, that is all flavour. Turn the gas off nice and safely, and we're going to leave this just to sort of settle down a little bit. We want it to lose a bit of heat. We're going to need to put this in the fridge so that it has a chance for all those fats fats inside the salmon to actually solidify, and it allows us to flake it really nicely. So that's all done. Into the kitchen we go, and we're now ready to put this onto a plate so that they can go and sit in the fridge. And we're going to pop them in the fridge usually after about 5 or 10 minutes of cooling down. We don't want to put them in there when they're blistering hot. So they're ready to go in the fridge, and they'll chill for around about 20 minutes to half an hour. And this is the remnants of the ash that's left in the bottom of the pan. You can see it's burnt really effectively and efficiently, and there's 2 teaspoons of dust is all that you need. And we're ready to flake this onto our dinner. We've got a nice salad prepared here with some beets and new potatoes. Beautiful way of eating this salmon. So this is birch hot smoked salmon, and it's absolutely delicious. Now we've got 2 cuts of salmon here. We're not going to use both in one night. You can see we're only using half per portion. This really does go a long way, and it's very delicious too. And you can see how that contrasts with the outside, with the smoke colour, with the inside pink. And I never like to overcook my salmon. I always like it to be glistening and still quite moist, and the brining helps for that. So if you want to store this, you can actually bag it up and freeze it for a later date, and that's pretty much it. Here are some images of a hot smoker that I've used in the past. It's a much larger roasting tray, more of a traditional tray that you'd cook a chicken on. We've got a couple of trout in this. Same kind of arrangement with the bulldog clips. And with a lot of these larger trays, you actually can get the trivet that comes with it, which can act as your food rack essentially, so you don't need to go and modify one from another application. Really good piece of kit. I've been using this for over 15 years myself, and I still use it to this very day. It's a wonderful piece of kit. I would highly recommend you not going out and spending nearly £100 on a top of the range hot smoker, but this is fantastic. Well, there you go. It's as simple as 2 roasting trays, one on top of the other, onto a stove. What could be easier? I hope you enjoyed that and you took something from it, and best of luck.